These two gentlemen have been friends of mine for 20 years and are really, really good guys, have real good character, good family men, and are really good people. Michael Thompson is the public works director now. He has been at the city for a little over 20 years. He started out as transportation engineer, as John said. After a few years there, he moved to assistant director of public works. And then about 5, 6 years ago, he moved to public works director. He's in charge of basically oversees facilities maintenance, grounds maintenance, the bus system, Tim's group, and several other things. He's married, one young son, or not young anymore, but married. He got his master's and his bachelor's from Virginia Tech, and he's a registered professional engineer in the state of Tennessee. Tim is the assistant public works director. He also started out as transportation engineer, and he moved down to public works about 5 years ago now. Tim's down there. He's in charge of basically the paving group, the garbage group, the trash group, the outdoor recycling, grounds maintenance, mowing. He's also married, has one young son. He has his master's and his bachelor's from University of Tennessee, and he's also a registered professional engineer for the state of Tennessee. So please help me give these two gentlemen a big round of applause.
Yeah, we're happy to be here today. We want to give you an update on our paving program. That's been a big area of interest for many years, and we've made a lot of progress, and we want to share that with you. And if we have time, we'll go over some other road projects as well as we go along. Oh, double tapped it. So, back in 2015, we really tried to push the fact that we wanted to do a data-driven process. There was a lot of information coming in from the public, seeing and knowing that our road system was not being maintained the way it should be. We worked with the leadership at the time, and this was really something that took several years to get to, but to get to a sustainable paving program. And, we wanted it to not be, Calvin's fussing about a road in Rock Springs because, that's where he lives, but somebody else that's in, quite frankly, a poorer neighborhood that's just trying to live from day to day isn't complaining about the road, but it may be worse. So we wanted to go and get a way that we could holistically look at it in a fair way. So in 2016 is when we did our first assessment and started building our program. And we've now had one in 2021 and we just got one here in 2025. And I'll show you some data about that here in a minute. But we roll all of that information that all the high level information that we have onto the Kingsport.com website. So we try, I'm sure we fail regularly on it, but we try to be transparent with our information, how we're making our decisions. And, we always welcome feedback on how we could do that better. So as we got into it, we said, okay, what's the right way to do it? Because when you do one of these assessments, you have that vehicle driving every one of your streets, and it's taking images, it's looking at the roughness of the road, and it's got LiDAR measuring every imperfection in the road, every crack and crevice, and comes up with a score, which really is the methodology has changed every time we've had this done. It was largely post-processed by humans before, and it's gotten to where we can use the big data capabilities. Everybody wants to say artificial intelligence. You can definitely call this artificial intelligence, but it's really just, we now have the computing technology to where you can analyze every defect on every road and come up with a score. But we had to say, when you get that, you get little segments of defects everywhere. And it's not an efficient way. You can't go and pave 50-foot of road here, demobilize, and go across town and do another 50-foot. So we had to say, okay, what's a realistic way of doing this? So what we did is we broke the city up into neighborhoods or paving areas, and we scored each of those on an overall neighborhood scale. And so we're going to do neighborhood by neighborhood on the local streets, which degrade much differently than our main roads, right? So by and large, your degradation of pavements on local streets is just from sunlight taking the asphalt emulsion out of your roadway. So that is very different than a mainline road where, you know, you hire somebody like Mattern and Craig and they're going out and doing a design for how many equivalent single axle loads that the pavement's going to last before you have to replace it on a new road. So those interstates and things like that, those are wearing out based on traffic loading. So we did that, and then we also knew we had to address the roads that were in failure mode anyway to start getting those worst roads up. And then the third prong is spending particular information, time and money on the main roads that everyone drives and need to be kept at a higher level of maintenance. So, you know, we have repaving, and you know, mill and repaving is the most expensive, and well, dig and replace, where when you let roads completely fail, you have to go down to the base and build it back up from the top. The most expensive thing you can do. And then, so we definitely don't want to do that. We've had to do a lot of that. You'll see in 2016 on the far right, if you can see that, we focused on the 0 through 20 PCIs on going in, rebuilding the sections that need to be rebuilt and go on. And then in 2021, we was able to go up to a higher range to 30, and we're projecting to be able to work on roads all the way up to a 40 because we're getting those and there's less of those in the network. But what we would like to do, like that chart showing, instead of letting it go all the way down to failure and then reconstruct it, that's what that dashed line is across there. What we want to do is get it in good shape and then apply cheaper, more regular treatments to it, something to replace the asphalt emulsion inside, especially all these neighborhoods, because that's where the majority of our roads are. We're still going to have to mill and fill a lot of these main roads, but we're still going to try to preserve them as well. But all these roads, you know, we want to try to maintain them in a better method. So the big thing was we had to have money to do that. Poor Ronnie, when he was in this position, if you look at that, he was the only person I knew that knew the pandemic was coming, retired, you know, 3 months before we shut down. And guess who got to pick it up? So, and then shortly after we got Tim over there to help us. But when he was there up to 2016, we had that is just over $600,000 on average. If you look at that, that other side is, of course, we've ramped it up, and you know, all of these original calculations were done before COVID, and so the inflation factor, construction's always been bad on inflation, but it's gotten even worse since COVID. But that averages out to $2.7 million per year that the city is now putting into the program, and we want to make sure we were good stewards of the funds doing that. At the largest scale, if you look at all the non-state route roads, we don't maintain the interstate, John B. Dennis and Stone Drive. Those are getting taken care of directly through fuel taxes at the state level. They're coming in and doing those. I have some of those projects later, but on the city roads, that's where, based on each assessment we've done, we've been able to move the citywide weighted PCI. So we take the PCI of the segment times the length of the segment, do that for every segment in the city, and then divide it by the total length, and that's our average all around the city. So we feel pretty happy with that progress. We moved it over 10% the first time, up 7 points, and we moved it another 4 there. So I feel like that's been pretty good progress overall. So diving into that score just a little bit, this is how the breakdown of those. The top is the PCI score bands, and this shows how many percent of the roadways are in each of those bands each of the years that we did the assessment. So you can see back in 2016, 21% of the roads was in that 86 plus range, and now we're up to 27.87. So if you look at that change over the last 9 years, you know, the good is getting better. Good's getting gooder. That's how they taught it at UT, wasn't it, John? No, Virginia, you know, we had to teach people how to say Appalachia. All those people from Northern Virginia thought it was Appalachia. But anyway, the good is getting better, and the bad, there's less and less of that. So we feel really good that we're moving in the right direction. And talking about the fact that the technology has changed each time we've done this, we are now to the point where they're giving us a score. What is it, Tim? Every 200 feet? So every 200 feet, we're getting a score breakdown in addition to the way we have asked for, which is every segment, which is intersection to intersection. So what that allows us to do is, you can see this road has got a 95, 93, 95, 86, 89, 93, and then there's a 76. Well, then you go and look and you see why there's one defect, and this is a granularity we didn't have before. And so we'd have people call in with complaints, and we're like, I don't understand it. The score is great on that. And it was because it was being averaged over a long point. So we're to the point of being able to get down to a 200-foot section and say, hey, we can fix this one bad spot, and we've got a pretty good road for quite a while. So this was the map when we started. This is the neighborhood map we was talking about. This is how we broke the neighborhoods up. You'll see some really big and really small areas based on, and it's really much as anything based on mileage. If you look at the street miles over there on the far right. And so we did an average PCI score for each of those, ranked them, and started working on those reds. And what I want to point out on this one is, look at how many things are not green. They're not 60 and above. I believe there's 19 on there.
Michael,
yes.
could you explain what PCI is?
Oh, I'm sorry. So the PCI is the Pavement Condition Index, and it's the AASHTO has the American Association of State Highway Officials has come out with a standard way to measure and define the condition of the roadway. And so basically what you're doing is you're taking the defects and you're saying what type of defect it is and what's the linear footage or the square footage of those defects, and then doing that as a deduct from the condition of that pavement to come up with an overall. So that's how we figured that, how on a national level they figured out how to take the personal subjectivity out of it. You know, before, Ronnie's guys had to go out, physically look at it and make their determination, and he may grade it one way, and, you know, Calvin would grade it a different way, and I'd grade it a different way. So it's not perfect. If you tell me this road's an 81 and this one's a 79, they're about the same. You need to look at them both because it's not that precise. But in bands of 10 or more, it gives you a really good focus on where you need to go. Does that answer well enough? So I think there's about 19 of those that are 60 and below. And if you look at the new map, and these are on both of these and the interims, all the maps are on the paved Kingsport. Yes, sir.
You list what y'all
Tim, alligator cracking. So anywhere where you see a crack in the road, there's about 15 different technical terms for. Like if you see all these little cracks and it looks like 4-inch cobblestone, that's going to be what we call alligator cracking. But then you'll have longitudinal cracks that go with the road and transverse cracks that goes against it. But then you also have stuff like rutting, like when you come up to a intersection and there's a lower groove where your wheel path is, so the profile of the road is not smooth. And then there's heaving, where the stopping action of vehicles will push the pavement and you'll get those bumps that you really feel. And so there's all of those.
Potholes and even patches show up in that. Just anything that changes the irregularity of that surface. And I think it's, like I said, there's several of them, but those are the big ones that you'll see.
So we go to this new map, and so you've got, we were specific, we changed the scale just a little bit there because over time we were getting better and we needed more granularity, but still anything green is 60 and above. So you'll see there's 5 areas in blue, 1 in orange, and then the 2 in red we wanted to show differently because those are already planned. And what people often don't understand with our neighborhood paving program is we're trying to make sure that every utility is looked at and evaluated, make sure that it doesn't need to be replaced before we pave the road. So we have to get out 18 months, at least 18 months ahead. So, Tim's already got the meeting scheduled this winter, next month, for 2027 paving. So he'll be meeting with the water. So 95% of all the utility cuts in the roadway are stormwater, water, or sewer, which are our own utilities. So that's our primary focus. We let all the other utilities know. Most of the other utilities are overhead, except for Atmos. We coordinate with them as well. But anyway, so that gets you down to 5, 6, 7, 8. So that's another metric in our mind that we're doing what we need to do. So coming up next year, it's Area 14, the Gibson Town, Nelson Town area, according to who's saying it. But that's the major area we're doing. And then we've got 37B, like I said, it's scheduled, prioritized for 27, and utilities will be out working there this coming year in preparation for us being there. That's out the Willowbrook area.
The other side of 93, so it'd be.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, out on Sullivan Gardens. Yeah. Yeah. So in addition to the neighborhood paving, we've got main roads paving. These are the upcoming projects we have going right now. So we'll give y'all just a minute for those, but those at the top are MPO paving. So the Kingsport, the greater Kingsport area, it goes into Greene County, Washington County, of course Sullivan, Hawkins, and Southwest Virginia, a little bit of Scott County is in the urbanized area, and the Kingsport MPO gets funds for projects of regional significance. And if it's on a functionally classified road, which basically means it's classified at least as a collector in the federal highway system in the urban area, we can spend those funds on it. We have done a balance of projects. Main Street was 80% MPO funded for the non-utility work. And then we have, on the other end, we've got these paving projects that we're slowly moving through. It takes forever to do them. That's just the price you pay for using federal funds. It's still federal gas tax funds that flows back to the state. And then because we're what is considered a small MPO, it flows to the state, and then they allocate the money out. But that's those. And then next year, TDOT is firm on the paving of these roads here. So we're going to see pretty good hit between the TDOT paving and the MPO paving on the main roads as well. So that's kind of the overview of what we've talked about as far as area paving and main road paving that's coming in the near future.